1, 2. Mic check. 1, 2. Hey, hey. 1, 2. Hey, hey.
Nice. Dude, there's so much left.
Good afternoon. I have an announcement to make. It's raining outside. So you can see we're a little bit delayed, allowing more people to get in the door. Everybody that braved the rain, thank you very much. And welcome to the Get Indigenous Film Festival at Indian Market. And I'd like to introduce this great program, which is the Collective Spirit Legacy Short Films. First People's Fund is here. We're here to honor all these wonderful legacy individuals that have short films about them. And just a quick comment about these films. As a storyteller myself and a filmmaker, this is kind of the essence of what I'm always after. And it's something that I'll call the real, you know? It's something that's real. And all these legacy recipients have that thing. And I don't even know what that is as an artist. I mean, as an artist for so many years, you just sit there and, you know, people have something. And through your art, you know, you give it to other people. And that's what we're here to participate in is your gifts and giving them to other people through film, through documentary. And Lori Puyer, who's the founder of First People's Fund, is here. And she's also the director of these short films. So now I'm going to introduce Lori Puyer, who's going to introduce the program and the short films.
Plamaya, Pilamaya, Mitakiapi, Makasi, Tomni, Omani, Wi, Machiapi, Kishto. Lori, I'm Oglala Lakota, and I was born and raised on the Pine Ridge Reservation. And I just was tracking my timeline, and I think my first Santa Fe Indian market was probably around 1990. And so I've been coming pretty much every year since, probably says my age. And Chris has been calling me a director. And I just say, I'm not a director of anything. I'm just here to tell stories. So I appreciate him saying that. And I graduated, he's a director. And we have a daughter named Shahila Puyer Air. And my mother's here, and Chris's mother. So I just want to bring them into the room and say thank you for coming out in the rain. And I also just want to acknowledge that this is our very first film screening. So when they asked if we could show it on YouTube, I said, we're still trying to find a distributor, because I've heard Chris say that for 20-some years. So I don't really know what that means, but we're going to have some partners going down the road here. And I want to really thank my sister, Danielle Means. We come from the same territory, the same region. She's Lakota also, and comes from a very strong family that was movement family in Pine Ridge during the 70s. So I also want to acknowledge Danielle and congratulate her as probably the first Indigenous woman of leading this museum here, and a Lakota. So I want to thank you for that. And then I just want to say grateful to Swaya and Jamie and Chris and Jolie, who's in the car trying to get into as well, so she would be here in the room. And then I just want to say a couple things about First People's Fund. First People's Fund supports and honors and uplifts culture bearers, artists, and their communities. The 4 films shorts you are about to see honor the legacy of our founder, Jennifer Easton, and the more than 126 tradition keepers from nearly 100 tribes. The films offer just a glimpse of the healing, strength, and joy that reflect the vital role tradition keepers play in sustaining tribal nations. Plamea.
I, no ne kahalekai no tamaalema. No luna. No luna e kahalekai no kamaaleva. Nana kamakaya mo nani kalewalai. No hoi e kai o maliwe.
Aloha mai kākou, o wau o hana kaulani o Kamamalu, o wau ke kumuhula o Pua Ali'i Lima a ke po'o o Pa'i Foundation. Aloha, I'm Vicky Holt Takamine. My indigenous name is Hanakaulani o Kamamalu. I was born in the territory of Hawaii, and I was very proud that I was not born on the statehood. My grandmother Victoria Holt Takamine, who I'm named after as well, was a Democratic chairperson. I never wanted to get into politics, but I think that over the years, I have inherited the kuleana responsibility of an ali'i, who I descend from. Ali'i are Hawaiian royalty. And that kuleana is not as somebody who leads your people, but somebody who serves your people. My grandmother was fluent i Ka'olelo Hawaii. She was fluent in the Hawaiian language. She had 10 children, but not one of her children spoke the language. She was raised in a time when our people were discouraged from doing their cultural practices, discouraged from speaking their language. She was reprimanded in school for speaking Olelo Hawaii. She also understood that her children had to be fluent in the English language in order to be better themselves in the Western society that had already colonized our people and taken over our lands. However, my mother was a Hawaiian hula dancer. Her mother was a hula dancer. And so in that side of the family, they were all hula people. As a young child at 10, 12 years old, my sister was 10, I was 12. I was placed under the tutelage of Maiki Ayu Lake, my kumuhula, my master teacher of Hawaiian dance. And I credit her with introducing me to Hawaiian language through poetry, song, and dance. I was an advocate for what was right from the time I was in high school. And at Kamehameha, we were not allowed to stand up and do hula because it was a very Christian school. And I was like, okay, I come from a hula tradition. And so when I was a senior and we were in a program that we're gonna honor Kalakaua and Kapi'olani, I was representing Queen Kapi'olani and my classmate was King David Kalakaua, and we wanted to dance Kaulana Napua as a statement for who we are as Native Hawaiians. We went to our principal, who was Auntie Gladys Kamakakuo Kalani Brandt, and she went to the trustees and championed and said, our class wants to stand up because this is not a song that we sit down for. Kaulana Napua, famous are the flowers, famous are the people. It's a song of protest, a song of resistance. So we stood up and we put our foot out and we did our motions and did Kaulana Napua. We danced our mele, we're very proud about it. And my question to the trustees were, are you a school for Hawaiian children, or are you a Hawaiian school for Hawaiian children? The graduation rituals of hula had been suppressed for many years. So Auntie Mikey was one of the first ones that brought that back. And she was instrumental in leading the charge of the Hawaiian Renaissance. We were right in the middle of the 70s. My sister and I both uniki from her in 1975 as kumuhula together. And in 1977, I started my own halau. So I was kumuhula for 20 years, and my daughter-in-law brought a letter home. She was a student in the Hawaiian law class at UH Manoa and said, you need to see this bill that's going through the ledge. And it said that all Native Hawaiians had to go to the Land Use Commission, list everything that they gathered. Every shell, every kind of fish, every seaweed, every flower, every fern, to make the things that we use for our cultural practice. List everything and have a clear preponderance of evidence that your great-great-grandparents did that prior to 1893. And so, we testified against the bill, and they passed it right out of their legislative session. And I was like, okay, so I organized kumuhula, gathered them, and we demonstrated for 24 hours. We brought all our drums in, we chanted and drummed for 24 hours, and killed the bill. I lobbied the state legislature for 2 years to open my own Office of Hawaiian Culture and Arts because nobody had one dedicated to Native Hawaiian culture and arts practices. Honolulu Museum of Art, Art. We have other museums around here that were not showcasing Native Hawaiian work. And at the convention center, you can't tell me you can buy $2 million worth of artwork and not commission a Hawaiian. So I wanted to open my own, and they turned me down. The legislature, I introduced bills 2 years in a row, and I lobbied them to start my own, and the state foundation says, no, we do that. I said, you don't even have a person that's on your board that is Hawaiian. So I wrote a letter of inquiry, cold turkey, and then lo and behold, somebody responded and said, I'm coming to interview you. And I said, well, I'm going to be there. And that's where I became a grantee of Ford Foundation. And that's where I met Lori Poirier from First People's Fund. And we have been sisters ever since, my Lakota sister. That was in 2005. You know, my grandmother left a legacy for me. She always told me, your name is Victoria Holt. And I was like, yeah, you come from royalty. I was given a grant to do a needs assessment survey of Native Hawaiian cultural practitioners. I knew Hawaiians didn't have studio to do their painting. They didn't have tools. They had to, oftentimes don't have the equipment that they need. The needs assessment survey was deeper than that. It allowed me to interview visual and performing artists and halau hula and kumu hula about what the needs of across the board. And that was the basis for Pa'i Foundation.
Too good to stop.
So we are here. We've just opened our brand new Pa'i Arts and Cultural Center with support from First People's Fund, with support from Ford Foundation and other large organizations. This would not have been possible. And I think the excitement for me is what this place can be for our community. And also, for me, taking back our aina, our land, 1 square inch at a time.
When we talk about basketry and other traditional things, if it went away from you, if it somehow was lost, what would you give to get it back?
Please welcome Bud Lane from the Confederated Tribe of Siletz Indians.
Hello, everyone. I am indeed very humbled by this evening, and I'd like to thank the First People's Fund Board of Directors for selecting me for such an honor. It really does honor to me and my family, but also to my Siletz people. My work with basketry has been pretty extensive, but I owe that to many different people. No one can do this type of work on their own. It can't exist that way.
In our language, I would introduce myself, Bud Lane Wa'am Nashi, Bud Lane, that way I am called. I'm a member of the Siletz Confederation, Confederated Tribe of Siletz Indians. I've lived here on the reservation most of my life. I have a wife, Cheryl Lane. We've been married for 45 years.
I met you in 2000, probably 2008, 2009, because you were nominated for the Jennifer Easton First People's Fund Community Spirit Award. You were nominated by one of our other Community Spirit Award honorees, Pat Courtney Gold, who was also a Cultural Capital Fellow.
I started meeting Pat seeing her at places where basketry demonstrations were going on. So I just, over a period of time, got to know her and her family and started working with her on different projects. And she was one of the founders of the Northwest Native American Basket Weavers Association. So I became a member of that in the year 2000. Our friendship was genuine, but it was also based on like work that we did. So we were doing kind of the same things. Geetsai Shrate, maidenhair fern. It's this pretty little 5-frond fern. It's kind of dusty on this corner because this is a rock road. But Geetsai Shrate means blue jay's ankle. And that's what this looks like, is a bird's ankle. This is the good stuff. See that yellow? What I do is I take it home, scrub this with a Brillo pad, and just get all that brown off. Then you take it and cut it up and pound it, and it's a hot water dye. It's the most yellow thing out here. As a matter of fact, it will turn your hands yellow real quick. You know all them sticks in all my baskets? That's what this is right here. See that? Someone came along and whacked this back on purpose, and it branched out right below it. Eh? Someone's been through here developing sticks. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Take a tree, for instance. A lot of people see it as how many board feet you can get out of it for wood on the market. But I'm looking at it now from a standpoint of how much carbon dioxide is that thing taking out of the air for me? And what happens when you cut that down? How do you replace that? It's important that you pull evenly on these so it doesn't walk off to one side or the other.
The things that a lot of people see as resource, we see it differently. The things that they think are brush or maybe plants that don't mean much have always been food or materials or medicine for our people.
When you see things in nature as being medicines, materials, or food, it changes the way you look at things. Basket makers and gatherers that handle this stuff all the time are like the canaries in the mine. We're the first ones to know that something is really wrong out there. We're experiencing changes in plants, and the plants don't lie, they tell the truth. So those changes that are happening in our environment are really have been obvious for years already with the basket makers. Here's the Siletz Reservation. This is Cape Lookout up above Tillamook, and then it goes out to the 8th Willamette Meridian Township West. 1.1 million acres when it was first established in 1855. We were terminated in 1954. From 1855 to 1954, we went from having the 20 million acres of western Oregon, give it up for the 1.1 million acre reservation. Terminated means the government severs all federal relations with your tribe. You're no longer recognized as a federal Indian tribe. All these horrendous federal policies happened in between. In the span of 99 years, we had nothing. We didn't even own our own cemetery here. You know, we had several dance houses on the reservation that were burned by the agents in the 1870s here because they feared us getting together in numbers, and because, you know, the Rogue River Indian War had just ended. It's easier to tear down. Building something is difficult. Tearing something down is pretty easy. Any jackass can kick a barn down, but it takes a carpenter to build one. Listen for my stick, especially you younger fellas, keep in time. Oh, I know it, how I know it. Oh, I know it, how I know it. So as far as things that have changed here at Siletz, our people have basically flowered, I'd say, in the last 20, 30 years since we built that plank house.
Which was 1984, was it?
Yeah, 1994. We started it, and it was completed in 96. This isn't an intertribal event. This is a Siletz event. We use an array of different feathers, and we do, you know, Siletz style, we do these tying feathers together end to end. So they kind of curve, and they give it this wild, we call it the Siletz headdress look. So a lot of our younger fellas they're creating new songs for the dance. And like I always tell them, we could be standing out there in our street clothes and doing the dances, and it would still have the same meaning. When I'm gone, this will still go on. I can't see it ending. That fills me with joy. That I'm glad about that, and that Cheryl and I's work and other our teachers that preceded us, that is actually bearing fruit. That is really important to me.
I guess finally, what I'd like to say is that all of my teaching and my work, I really do owe to others.
We fought against hunting and fishing agreements that were wrong. We went into court when we had to do so. We've gone and done cultural things that people thought were weird or quaint, but in the end, they find out that it is really a traditional thing for us to be doing.
And I think that it's important that we carry on these traditions and that we not just do it for today. Today is important, but we've got to think ahead and we've got to think down the line. We have to think of those generations yet to be born and how we can keep alive this knowledge that took 10,000 or more years to get to our hands. It comes from a time way, way back, and it's precious beyond description to us.
The name Cluckwan is actually two words in Tlingit, Tluk and On. Tluk means ancient or eternal. On can mean land, village, town, or city. So ancient village or eternal village is what Cluckwan means. We don't really see ourselves as individuals here. We see ourselves as part of a family, part of a clan. You know, we're very connected to our people and also to the animals around here, like the eagles, the brown bear. When we introduce ourselves, we don't just say our name. We say, like I would say, Santatsi Khatuso, Tlingit Khenach. That's my Tlingit name. But I would say, Chak na Khatiti. I'm an eagle. Kuch hit dachaya. I come from the wolf house. Just Kwan Khatiti. I'm of the Chilkat people. Ganachtedi Yadi Ayachat. I am a child of the Ganachtedi. Ganachtedi Dachkan. I am a
Good to see you again, Lonnie. And I just traveled, I don't know how many miles to come to Cluckwan again. Lonnie is a First Peoples Fund Jennifer Easton Community Spirit Award honoree. We recognized Lonnie and her community probably around 2008 or so, right?
2011.
2011, we traveled to Cluckwan, honored you in this community. We'd like to wrap this around you, and that brings you into our family, the great Lakota Nation.
That was quite an honor. And to hear the words that the young people that I had worked with, what they had to say about me, that was very honoring. And then I was presented also with a hat that one of our carvers made, and it was very joyful and overwhelming.
I know when we first arrived, it started with the healing rope. So we're hoping to share some of that story today as we visit as well.
I took this class on the Holocaust, and I could see some parallels between the Jewish people and the genocide there, and and what happened to our people, the genocide of Native Americans, like all the death in the boarding schools, all the land being taken away, language being taken away, culture being forbidden. And then at the end of the class, Robin Walls was our instructor's name. He talked about the Holocaust museums and how the creation of these Holocaust museums were creating healing for their people, for the Jewish people who had either been through the Holocaust themselves or had generational trauma. And I thought, our people needed something like that too. And that's what prompted the healing robe. Saddened me that there was nobody in Cluckwan that was weaving. And so I was so excited to get this project going. It has the raven's tail and the chilkat components to it. And I thought it was appropriate because our culture is a culture in transition. We call it the healing robe because the idea of throwing off that cultural oppression and embracing our cultural heritage and the healing that comes through just doing that. I guess I've been always responding to a need that I see. So started the community garden back in 2005, and then we had started doing fish camps. This is where the idea of food sovereignty comes in. If you're growing your own vegetables, if you're getting your fish, wild caught salmon from the Chilkat River, you know it's good, and you know what's going into your body, and it's so much healthier than prepackaged foods. And so that was my way of addressing that need for better nutrition and more physical activity.
Well, and thinking about that from the fish camp to let's talk about the young men part of that story.
Okay, so the women had the healing robe project, but the guys were kind of left out of that. I wrote this wellness proposal, and I had the idea to build an old style longhouse. And so I put out a flyer. Any young men interested in learning how to build traditional Tlingit buildings, you can sign up for this project. We're going to build a longhouse, right? And wouldn't you know, it wasn't just young guys my husband was interested, and other people even older than him wanted to be a part of it. So there was a hunger for our culture, and the guys had been left out about it, but they really took hold of that. And they built, we had a canoe project, a couple canoe projects. We had them build the longhouse.
Yeah, I know the last time we were here, we all sat in the longhouse.
It takes a lot of perseverance and patience to weave a Chilkat blanket. So that builds character, to be able to finish something that takes a long time. Like me heading up the efforts to build the Heritage Center. That took a long time. And maybe I wouldn't have been able to see that project through if I wasn't a weaver, because weaving taught me patience, weaving taught me perseverance. And I needed both of those traits to head up the Heritage Center. We're part of a family, we're part of a clan, we're part of a community.
One of the things that I heard you say recently is you said, being a weaver gives me a platform to speak about the issues. So let's talk about one of those issues and current issues, around the threat of the salmon and the Palmer mine, and transition into that story now, because I feel like that's going to be the next good almost decade of work that you're going to be focused on, right, in the community.
So my husband Jones has been taking the lead on protecting the Chilkat River and our way of life.
the reality is, a generation that is here now, they could say they were the last ones to catch salmon in the Chilkat River. They were the last ones to put up salmon in the smokehouse or jar. Continuing to keep the Chilkat River watershed pristine is most vital for us to be able to continue our way of life.
They're wanting to do this acid mine upriver from us. This river has all 5 species of wild Pacific salmon. Jones has been working so hard. I mean, I see him reading and doing a lot of research, attending meetings in person or on Zoom, sometimes all day long. And I just wanted to support him. And one of the things that he's been emphasizing is our cultural connection to the river and to the salmon. And so this weaving project that we're doing now, the 5 salmon robes representing each species of Pacific salmon that are in the river, to honor them and to help bridge the cultural gap between our people in mainstream America, to help them understand where we're coming from.
That messaging to the larger world, and which is why I'm here, is to really to help amplify and share the voice of it is the tradition keepers, the artists, the weavers.
People are interested in art. It's a gateway to our culture. People ask, what's this design about? We're going to be bringing out these salmon robes to the public, and each weaver will tell about their design. And embedded in our design is cultural knowledge, ecological knowledge. I mean, the flora and fauna and the salmon in the river is all going to be embedded in these weavings. And that will give each of our weavers a platform to help bridge the cultural gap to the world, to help them know what a treasure the Chilkat is. And it's way beyond any dollar amount. It's a gift that we have here.
She's a potter also. I mean, everything you can learn. And one thing she says is, I wish I knew how to weld. If I knew how to weld, I would have welded me a house. She said, but because you're an elder mom and you're very known, what you say is valued, very valued. Very high value.
Oh, huh. 1, 2, 3, rolling.
She'eya tkanaba na tani inchke do hawasane ainshle.
She'eya Sarah not anin shieto Hawasana ainshle na kaidane e bashishin.
Ako sa nihitene da isklo khada ola bitawis danzenle ero da do bespera hausenda khada o la ayisi bits da o bitawis ma
Jod atajno eyaha Nashji stando nashji histin jo si betsando hanno hut jona nashji in da atlodon jon wat ida adil in halanda atizda jon wato nana nashji betlol wazo ayo do kejoni shit eda do honil jale astado yolkai stashin hut ay Inan tkinashin yolkai sayo hol di hago ta hotes ago itenne تنسانين لنجي بنان نشتغل أستاذو يولكي استاشين كنت أي ينان التكنشين يولكي استاي يهول دي خاغو تاخد إساغو إي تنسانين لنجي بنان نشتغل لي بنجيشي لهات آناتي نانا كجيخا آجيتا شتا آجيتا كجيتا تنهجي هتخالدان لندو تأتلوي داشي لهات بتهن أكوند دو بيوتشي دو نيدا وشي أشاجشي أكيلت إيغو بانتها كيشي أدو جوتلان هلنا قد لا تنزنا نجونكو إناغو دو هبا بتاعي جولتشيندا.
I came home from school and my dear mother, she had a loom set up, a small loom set up for me and told me, today you're gonna learn how to weave. At that time, my routine was I come home from school, get into my play clothes, and then I go play with my friends. And then suddenly that had to stop. My brain wasn't able to comprehend what was happening, but I could feel the importance from my mom. Slowly, though, my weaving started developing. My paternal grandmother said, let her fingers touch the wool, let her tease the wool. She made it known to the universe. I'm going to give her her Navajo name, and said, my cousin's name is Tkanabat. I'll name her after her, but I want my paternal grandchild to be a weaver, so I'm gonna name her Tkanabat Aklohugi, which means Tkanabat the weaver. What Mom did is begin that seed. It's almost like she gave it water and encouraged me to work more with the wool. So she received, I believe, wool from my paternal grandmother. The sheep is so instrumental in our culture and our tradition. The foods we make from the sheep, the products we make from the wool, the Navajo Chiro, they're recognized as a heritage breed. That beautiful brown wool, which we know as the Belche, and it's a very prized color. 1976-7, I was probably around 9 or 10 years old. We're leaving electricity and coming back to ancestral homelands, oil lamps, hauling water, no longer turning on the faucet. When we moved here, my grandmother gave us sheep also. So everything came, it was like a light switch that fast. We now had to herd sheep. What I had was my weaving. The weaving is so powerful. No matter what challenges you have in your life, the weaving embraces you. It has arms and it embraces just every part of you.
Well, my father, when I was about 7 years old, he really encouraged me to start weaving. And then the next thing was my mother. She used to weave. She was the one that used to work at the time to bring food and then our clothing. And then since I learned how to weave when I was at a younger age, I really wanted all my girls to weave. She loves to work with her fingers. And so I believe that if you have children, you start off teaching them how to work with their little finger, even though they're really a young age. Belgi other and Belacanic Ashini. A consumptan alchin gisipa aholia Nihi and Hanan Nishnopen not oho one setado Joho Angel Nishade Chian Najija. Ego Adot Ellen Pataho Aishi Inje Pataho Adaho what a nanny na. In a mason don't cheaper neto and he don't higande anani na. Aronde Shama Petishneila Shama Alchina de Adoni Nich in your aten has cleaned out on Al Mishtado cut up at the house, but the whole iron spells and a conley Sanida Alchinda Sanida they catered on Dal Nashipich and Dailietishna welfare artisan. Ben also that any other than Nana had on she the queen had that qui had no nanny but best of the Hala Besana don't let she know. Connashi Yaja she's not a costa. The said Asha hot egg on la gotin. Could I she best of than the hint she not chended or yellow. The hot egg in la hot and la. I don't know pen chat a whole lot on a bed. This the whole ben deal nishi hollow, a rat a hollow. I don't know manly to hardly that the best cheat a rat and genuine heels joy. Yen that only got never can mean not at the lapa his jaw banana. I don't know in pen chat a can allow han shadow it is a tahayet order a nation benasi ishto. She didn't. I don't show I knew what any is. I don't that is longer than so a dash. That or illo that is strong, nothing that there's not about a illo. I could out a baby. Nasne it died at all. At a one lay how you could out I need.
I joined the Navy and we went on a 6-month tour on the Western Pacific coast. People from different states, and I'm homesick. And then now we're on foreign soil also, and I'm even more homesick. We were in the Philippines, which was probably one of the best places for me to be at that time because they're very indigenous as well, and they have a strong weaving connection. So I went out on a Saturday to the market, just shopping around, and then all of a sudden I came upon a vendor who had a table of woven goods. They were made out of palm leaves. I believe that day the deities helped me feel the love and the comfort. I couldn't speak Tagalog, and the weavers couldn't speak English either. But they saw me and I said, I'm Tkanapa Aklohogi. And then I was a young woman of maybe 20 years old. And then I believe that power of who I am is what came out and what comfort me. They say our Navajo woman names are so powerful like that. Whenever we need help, whenever we need protection, we say our name and then we get that protection. This weaving helped me to reconnect to who I was. I was a Dene woman from Table Mesa, a weaver. So I finished my active duty and then I stayed in Los Angeles for 2 years. Then the College of Santa Fe, I finished my undergrad there in environmental management. But living away from home, my mother would give me bags of wool. I was beginning to do weaving as the way to help make financial ends meet because I was a full-time student and living on a limited income, you know. So she always encouraged me to weave with the hand spun, but I would tell her, oh, that takes too much time. I can't do that. And then all of a sudden, it changed, and I was asking about some of the wool. So I came home and she gave me a bag of wool, and that's how I started carding the wool and spinning the wool. As I was finishing up my undergrad in environmental management, by that time I was probably 30% of my time spinning and weaving. I knew when I graduate that I'd have to make a decision, because I couldn't just put my weaving away so I could work at the state environment department. But that day came, I graduated, and I began to wonder what would happen if I came home. My mom and my dad, they said, we're retiring from ranching the sheep and the cows, and we're gonna give that to you children. That was my ticket to come home. I started ranching the sheep, and then I started weaving on more of a professional level. I could do my work as a weaver, and I could also help ranch the sheep still. And I knew it was important to my mom.
Ntekheset edo hadishin adishli zamzanigin janu adalna kade ich don jango ape akinal zeldo do inli khadata kona betishni ti inat edo do ya hansekhes li khadata na gada ajit ogi bojil aho Joshua kon do ye da hasano kon do ben hejon dat it asani at pode da jeti jo halchen da hallo yisiti da hislonge yisin tekes at ela njon hot behozana ahui chit god hana akot out ha altsona hat ich sind schon la a kon la die yashti da so shin la da shin ashon ni speta hat dozin la kota inala shi kotza I don't need to go. I got out of a gun, so I you had the link at I don't talk head at a sunny sunny. I don't the art and neji at tea. Jo Ada, I was a paper shop, to a biasanda. In not I do a quiet son daughter, doll in that any sunny. Da kaigi bebenannt kine
All right. I'd like to welcome Lori Puyer back to the stage, who directed and produced these wonderful movies, and she's going to introduce the wonderful legacy subjects.
Hello. Can you hear me? What did you think? I just want to say before I invite our Jennifer Easton Community Spirit Award honorees up here, First Peoples Fund has been around since 1995, and I joined First Peoples Fund in 1998. And I met this dude over here, and he met Jennifer Easton, and she said, I want to meet Lori. I want her to come work for First Peoples Fund. And when I had met Jennifer, she had already been traveling all over Indian country, and she had been contributing all of her wealth to Indian country. And she had been working with Vine Deloria, many others that my mother had been working with. So when she asked me to come work there, I said, I had definitely said yes, because I figured she already did her homework and she knew what she was doing. And we started off with like a $300,000 operating budget, and today I don't know, our assets are about 20 mil. And these are why we're here. The work of our Community Spirit Award honorees is what has inspired me for the last 26 years. Now our daughter's 26. And so I want to, first of all, invite our honorees up here and thank you for traveling so far to be here with us. And so Bud, Lonnie, and Tanaba, come on up. And while they're coming up here, I just want to ask the Board of Directors of the First Peoples Fund to please stand. And I am here because they are committed to this work and dedicated their professional lives to really help guiding and leading and giving their love to First Peoples Fund. And so I ask the board members to please stand up. Klima Rose. Vicki Oldman John, Shannon Martin, Carlton Turner. Who's way in the back? I can't see you. Paul. Paul Lumley. So I really want to thank you for being here and just ask the First Peoples Fund family of staff to stand up if you're here. Where are you? Thank you. And finally, I just want to say that we can have a seat. We have a panel tomorrow at the Institute of American and Indian Arts. And we're joining Chris's team there from the, almost said Get Indigenous, the Lightning Jim Thorpe film. If you saw it last night, if you haven't, please watch it on, I think, the History Channel. Some of us were here, and support the good work of Chris and his storytelling. So we're going to have a panel tomorrow, so we only have a short time. We were asked to close by 5, and I think we came in a little bit late. But I just want to ask each one of them very briefly to reflect on why at this moment in time that we find ourselves in this country. When I went to see Lonnie, you have to really want to travel to Alaska. So, and I'm from Pine Ridge. So it was quite the journey, but you saw in there that we had a very long relationship with Lonnie and her community and through many of our programs. But all of them come into the family of First Peoples Fund as an honoree, and somebody nominated them for selflessly giving of themselves in their communities. And they have many jobs, you can tell, right? They're doing many, 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 many things in their community for their love for community. And so in all of my 26 years here at First Peoples Fund, they're the ones that ground us. So when we get off balance at the organization, we always go back to the Community Spirit Award honorees because they remind us of our responsibility and the original vision of Jennifer. So I'm going to start with Lonnie, and then we'll just go down the line, and then we'll let you all go for the evening. Go right ahead.
You have a question?
Yes, I had a question, but I thought I asked it already. I said about this time we find ourselves in. My prompt is, we are living in a time when so much is at stake and our stories matter more than ever. Why is it important for your story to be shared through film, especially now?
I thought about that question. And one thing that strikes me is we live in an age of information. I mean, it's all around us, continually pouring in. Even if you don't want to hear it, pops up on your phone, whatever, you know, and yet our nation is so polarized, and our world, and what's happening. I mean, we've got all these social media, and yet there's so much disconnect out there. And so I think that as an artist and culture bearer, we want to share our story to bridge that communication gap between cultures and people. And I think just seeing these stories, not just my own, but about Taniba and Bud and the Hawaiian woman, it's very moving to me to see what other people are doing, and it just really resonates. Their stories resonate with me, and I know that art, it breaks down barriers, it opens hearts, it changes lives, it improves all of our quality of life. It's the stuff of life, art. And I'm thankful to be a part of the First People's family. And I'm so thankful that you all exist, all of you board members, Lori, and all you staff supporting artists like myself and my partners up here. Ganachish Takatiahan.
Us three here, we come from different lands, different ancestors, but we speak a common language. We speak our weaving, our basketry, our blankets. And the films are really powerful, very powerful, because of the messages, the knowledge, the education that it's bringing across this audience here today, right now. However, it's going to go further across Indian country, across to the different continents. And right now, we as Indigenous people, we are living in a very sacred time. Our language, our heritage, our culture is at stake right now. So we all have to make a commitment. And culture bearers, for me, I gave up a job, and at 8 to 5, a traditional job, traditional maybe American job, to be a weaver and to not be plugged in to doing hours. So I work for my family, and I'm able to carry on the tradition, the heritage of my grandmother and my grandfathers and the people of Navajo Nation, because the weaving is why we are here. I believe that the weaving is what brought our food to us, and it helped us survive through the many seasons. And our weaving also not only helped us to survive, but our neighboring communities, not only in New Mexico, but across into the Dakotas, and probably even into Canada. Our weavings have traveled that far. I've been studying some old photos, and I see a lot of the shoulder blankets, a lot of the people wearing them. So for me, I'm a grandmother, and I see my little grandbabies, And I want them to remember the weaving. So I have to sacrifice. I have to sacrifice this way of life. Me and my husband, Terry, we have sheep, and we have to live the best way we can with the changes, with the climate changes right now. We can no longer take our sheep out every day, so we have to find ways to keep our sheep, that heritage, and we can. We're resilient in that, and that's one of the attributes of us, of the nations. We're very resilient, and we all have an important job, and I'm happy. I'm very happy to be a part of the family as well. And I was moved by Lonnie's story, and also Bud, and we were speaking our language, and there's some common sounds, and yeah, so very beautiful.
Greetings, everyone. I want to thank Lori and First Peoples Fund and David Canoyer especially. It was our honor to have them out to Siletz, and they actually stayed with us at the house and for a few days, so we had a really good time around the filming of this film. You know, in our way, our Siletz way of beliefs, everything comes out of the land and the waters. Everything. We do, all the plants, all the good things that there are out there, all come out of the earth. And you know, I always tell people that my work, my basket work, and works with our longhouse and our dances and our songs, it happened to me. It wasn't something that I really consciously pursued. One thing led to another. I had the good luck of knowing an elder weaver at Siletz. Her name was Gladys Muschamp, and she basically taught me how to weave. And I was telling this story to Lori. I used to go there and sit and weave with her, and she kind of laugh at how I'd weave sometimes and make fun of me. But and one time she told me, "You don't need to come back anymore." And I was heartbroken. She said, "I can't teach you anything anymore. You've learned enough, and you need to go out on your own and you teach now and make your way." So I've done that. You saw in the film how we view our land and our plants and our animals out there. They're all either food, medicine, or material for us. That's why that term was on this film. We call it Nannasta. It means the land, it means the earth. And what the phrase means in Dene is made for you. For you it is made. So it's our gift from the Creator to us. But it comes with a cost. It also comes with a responsibility from us to take care of those plants and those animals. And you know, we've seen widespread destruction since the railroads came into our reservation, and the logging happened that took away all the trees and killed off most of the salmon and our eels, a lot of our foods. But it's still up to us to try to battle those types of things. And now we're battling this huge thing that's, I think, is going to kill mankind if we don't start paying attention to it, and that's this climate change. It's been happening for years now. Basket weavers know it. You all see it, those of you that gather out there. You know the plants are a month or two ahead of time in the early summer and springtime. And the rivers aren't raising until, instead of the 1st of October, instead of clear until November or December. So the earth is telling us something, and traditional people know it and can feel it when they have their hands in the earth, and when they're picking and peeling and straightening and making their materials for the winter so we can weave during the winter. My wife and my daughter and my granddaughter are here too, Nobody does this alone. It takes your whole family. My grandmother used to sit and peel sticks. When you come to our house, we peel hazel sticks, which is the warp of our baskets. We'd put anybody out there, put them in a bag, and it's time for you to work with us when you come to visit. So we always had good times doing that, but it takes a village. It does, and I'm so proud of my own family and others at Siletz that have taken up this work. But there's much more to do. We have to do something now to stop this thing that is going to affect us all of humankind. The earth will survive, but we won't if we don't do something about it. So anyway, it's my pleasure to be here and to be able to speak with you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Lonnie and Tanaba and Bud, for joining us this evening, and thank you all for walking through the rain if you came through the rain, and rain is good for you, especially down here. And I just want to say that the little one in the holding Bud's basket and sitting on Bud's lap, I would like you to stand. And this is his granddaughter, and she was just accepted. She was accepted into Stanford University. So Bud said he's going to move to Stanford now and finds a job down there. No. And so I just also want to acknowledge Sarah, who's not with us, Tanaba's beautiful mother, who was in Fry Bread Face and Me and the basketball movie, and she's like my best friend. And I think all of them just over my lifetime here at First People's Fund. They're my best friends. Thank you. Kwamea.